We are happy to announce that this episode of the SWW Show is partially brought to you by Humble Bundle. Well, not really. We are part of the Humble Bundle referral program, and we just wanted to say that if you like really cheap games and maybe helping charity pending the Humble thing going on, all you have to do is go to humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. That's right, humblebundle.com/partner equals SWW. And you just do your normal stuff, and it just kind of helps us get a couple bucks here and there. Maybe it helps AJ get his lights, maybe it's Mike camera, maybe we actually pay Corey for helping us out. But again, if you're going to go buy games anyway, it might be worth checking out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 48th. Yes, you heard that right. 48th episode of the SWW Show. It's me, AJ. I've got Mike with me. And
hello.
We are slowly counting down the days until there's going to be some crazy stuff in your RSS feeds. So,
this is true. We are feeding you the RSS juices.
Look forward to that coming up.
Next few weeks.
I'll just say this, because things still aren't fully nailed down for everything that's going to happen.
I was pretty nailed down, TBH, but...
Well, yes and no. There's going to be some rather interesting podcasts. There's going to be some stuff that's going to sound different. Things like that. So, and then there's going to be some stuff that's just not a normal podcast. But, so yeah, that will be coming forth in your feeds. So that is something to look forward to. I will tell you this. There's going to be at least one thing that goes out on the feeds that is, well, it's going to be interesting, to say the very least.
I am genuinely think that I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, it just has, you and I haven't done it yet, which is part of the thing, but, yeah, it's going to be weird.
Maybe we've talked about it,
we've definitely talked about it. I think we've even talked about it on the stream, but that is that for stuff that will be kind of appearing around the holidays. But other than that, we got some stuff to talk about, including
let's see, jumping into
but not limited to the Call of Duties. Got that to come up. We've got arguably the most meh action movie we've done for a recording. We've got something that I don't even know about, but I'm pretty sure might be considered in some circles a cancelable word.
Oh wait, no, that's not. You'll understand. That's not. That's totally appropriate, actually.
Okay, but to kick it off,
I understand looking at it why you thought that, but no, we're safe.
Speaking of safety, I have been playing Construction
the safe
Simulator.
Word is cinnamon. Is the safe word for that cinnamon?
It's never cinnamon. But it does have in its effectively its epilepsy warning screen, which it doesn't have, but it does have something similar. It says, always remember to wear your PPE, and it lists out all the PPE stuff. I'm like, dear God, this is going to be one of those games. And it totally is.
Hmm.
This game is perfect for. Hold on, what am I at? I put in some time to this game. I have 15 and a half hours in this game.
Jesus.
I think. Hold on. October 22nd was the first day that I played it. And as we're recording this, it's 8 days later. I put 15 and a half hours into it. Um, yeah, it's one of those games where it's just like, all right, there goes 2 hours. And you're like, wait, hold on, how did that happen? But it's
Doing like I know you're doing, but like, are you just sitting there playing it? Or are you watching TV? Like, because a lot of people, I feel like when they do these types of games, they have the
yeah,
like,
this is
I'm doing
currently
something.
my something on in the background game. So like we're recording this on a Sunday, so yesterday was Saturday, and so I had college football on in the background. I was on my other monitor, but and I was just playing this for like 3 hours in the morning. So like it's just easy to do that. It's perfect for because it's two things that you can kind of split your brain and really not care. Um, so yeah, much like I'm
Nice.
sure you're doing with the Steam Deck, where you can just kind of do whatever.
Oh, totally. So the next jump, I would jump down. So I'm playing Steam Deck. Two of these I played on Steam Deck that are on the list. Obviously, first one I shout Rogue Legacy 2. So my girlfriend's been watching Breaking Bad the first time, so I've been sitting on the couch playing it while she watches, basically. Um,
She's
that's been
never
kind of
seen it
my
before.
chill game. Mm-mm. So it's very interesting watching. Obviously, like I don't remember everything, but I remember the big stuff, obviously. So interesting. But yeah, it's
Are
Rogue Legacy 2.
how are you guys watching
The
it?
more
Or what?
Netflix.
Netflix. Okay. I
Uh,
wonder
it's
if
on
they've got.
Netflix still.
Yeah, I wonder if they have the uncensored stuff.
I
Because
don't know. I have only seen it on Netflix besides the last season I saw like actually on cable, so
yeah,
I don't know the difference enough.
well, because like I remember the first season is definitely one that you can tell that like there's nudity throughout it, and the language is a little more colorful and things like that. But
Language is definitely there. I don't know about the nudity.
yeah, so
But yeah, Rogue Legacy I want to shout out. It's definitely I don't know if tougher than Rogue Legacy 1, but it's definitely like, so much bigger that it's. And I think the actual pain point of it for me has been I think some of the puzzles are way more obtuse than Rogue Legacy 1, so unlocking stuff takes some more work. But otherwise, it's still Rogue Legacy. I want to shout out though. The other game on my list I've been playing Steam Deck is Control Alt Ego. Have you heard of this game, AJ?
I feel like I have, but
So it's a rogue like that you play as like this robot trying to kind of escape. Uh, so it's kind of interesting. So one of the thing that kind of that I think is fascinating of it, right? So you can actually jump between different machines because you're a robot, and all the other commands is it very much has imagine like Stanley Parable, but with more puzzly stuff to it, or more like immersive sim type elements is kind of the big difference. Um, so I think it's pretty cool so far. I'm still only like an hour lacking, but I think it's something worth checking out. It's also only $20 on Steam. So that's not like an atrociously expensive game.
it
But
also has a free demo.
I really like immersive sims. I don't know, kind of. Yeah, it has a free demo if you want to go check that out. I think it's worth at least checking out if you know kind of what they're getting into. I think it's a cool game, but I think you kind of have to like some semi type to really get into it.
Interesting.
The next thing on your list I see is you're going back to the game that will never die, apparently, in your world, which is Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man has become my, and this is more on the list because of before I started playing Construction Simulator. Um, Spider-Man was my go-to for, oh, I have like an hour to kill before I need to do something, or I have 20 minutes, or something like that, where I can just hop into this game, do some side stuff. You know, I'd like to do 100% completion. I know it's not that hard, but yeah, I feel like though. So kind of the weird thing is like this. I guess technically third playthrough of Spider-Man. I still haven't gotten to the Taskmaster stuff, and
Really?
I'm like 50%, I think, through the progression, which I could have sworn you got the Taskmaster stuff before uh, you found out that Martin Lee was the demon.
Maybe I don't remember kind of when that all happened.
Um, yeah, so
So,
I am slowly plugging away with that, but I mean, also like I got it for free with my graphics card, so it's not like a.
okay, free as in you spent how much on the graphics card?
Well, I mean, I was gonna get that card anyway, so you know,
Fair.
it's how I got series. I got some Ubisoft game with my 9 series. I can't get anything with
I
my
don't
9 series.
remember, but I do remember them.
So yeah, that's I have no like monetary investment into the game that makes me want to get through it. So
You've also played that game a few times.
yeah, I mean like on PS4, I 100%ed the campaign. I did all the DLC, and then I did a new game plus, and I was like 2/3 of the way through that when I gave it up. I am fully aware of.
And then the
of
last
Spider-Man.
thing looks like a. I was gonna say, and then the last thing on our games list is on me, which is the Modern Warfare 2. So that came out Friday? Yeah, it's like 2 days ago. I've played, I'll say a dozen matches, so I'm early-ish, but I think I have a general sense of the game because it's Call of Duty. Some initial stuff. I think this game's objectively better than Vanguard. I think Vanguard wasn't Duty or any game. I think it shoots really well. It's Modern Warfare type shooting, so it's very much similar to that first Modern Warfare remake. I think it's with hacking. I think it's hard to kind of go where you are because of these deserts. This thing that's kind of tougher to kind of navigate. I also think the enemies are almost too, because like Call of Duty is always a super spongy game, but I genuinely think these are much spongy to expect them to be. And that's kind of big stuff. Also, the UI, just navigating menu. This might be the worst Call of Duty I have ever seen in my life. It's one of the worst game UIs I've ever seen. And I don't do this, and I just question their choices.
I don't know. Do you remember
AJ,
that?
you're not going to be TBD or waiting?
I was say, do you remember the original Modern Warfare UI? Because that thing was god awful. There were like 5 layers that you needed to get through. So you're saying Modern Warfare 2 is worse than that?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, no, this is, I think it's genuinely atrocious.
Sucks. I mean, I don't know if I'll get into this. I want to, right? Because it's the follow up to Modern Warfare, which I really enjoyed, but I have no desire right now to get into it. Like, I've seen a playthrough of the campaign, so I know all the who's it's and the what's it's about that, and to me, Warzone isn't just not in my rotation. So the the desire, if you will, to get this to make sure that I can level up the weapons for Warzone just isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a. It's not currently on my list of like, man, I really need to get that, especially when it's $70 everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's a kicker too, right? Like, oh shit, this thing's $70, so I guess that cuts into my budget for other things. Because I mean, like, for instance, right, like, and not just monetary budget, right? Like, it's time budget too. So, you know, RE8 just released their Winners expansion, and Reverse is coming out, and that's stuff that I had the like gold edition of 8 because I got it on sale. So I've got that stuff. I've got that content. Reverse looks like it's up. There's potentially something there. So it's not a game that I'm like, yeah, I want to get into it, but also I don't care if I don't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, that makes sense.
another thing though that God, why did we get into this? Is you and I both saw Black Adam. That is our movie club episode, and if you haven't listened to that, to put it into perspective, I think we recorded for like 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We probably talked about the movie itself for 10 of those 40.
To be fair, that is the entire plot of the film.
Yeah.
We discussed the entire plot of that film.
Yeah. So you can hear you can hear our detailed impressions on that movie in that episode. So won't go over it too much here.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to that if you want to hear our full.
And you can imagine how excited we were.
Yes. Excited.
But with that being said, what else have we seen? I got nothing massive in mind. I just want to shout out 2 older films that we watched the other night, which is both Rat Race, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know, old fun classics. Have you seen? I'm assuming Nightmare you've seen. Have you seen Rat Race before?
Yes, I think I've seen it once. So
it's that like perfect dumb movies from the 90s that I don't think could get made anymore today.
I don't think it's
who would
necessary.
fund this?
I think like a lot of those movies that that we look at and say, "Oh, this would never get made today." There's kind of two paths, right? Like it's either it would never get made today because it's somewhat offensive, or it would never get made today because it won't make money. And I feel like Rat Race is the latter, from what I remember.
100%.
Like, and that movie's just not going to make money, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there might be a remake, but it's going to be on Netflix or Hulu, something like. It's not going to be in a theater, then on VHS, DVD. It was back then. Much like Nightmare, honestly. Like, if Nightmare didn't already exist, you're not making that movie.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to show this up. And then it looks like you've been watching just F1 races, I assume.
The formulas, yes.
The tail end of the season for the formulas.
We will have a wrap-up episode, final races. We might have something special in store. We still need to figure out that coming up. But, yeah. We are now in the final throes of the 2022 Formula One season. So,
nice. Perfect. Well, on that note, I want to show out the next thing, which is the one that I'm assuming this next item is the thing that you thought was offensive.
to be fair, I just saw it on here and I was like, what is this?
So it's actually a play that we saw.
Okay.
The play. So that's why I'm like, it's not. The play is Viet Gone. It was written by a Vietnamese American whose parents emigrated from Vietnam, and I thought it was a cool shout out that we saw, and I thought it was pretty neat. If it ends up playing in your town, I think it's worth checking out. If you like plays, it's like a 4-man, a 5-man cast. It's the usual 2+ hour runtime. It's kind of funny. It has a lot of kind of emotional parts, but it's a cool play. I think worth kind of shouting out if it ends up playing in a town near you. So it's not like a big theater play, but it's definitely been around the nation a bit.
It's been around the nation. The nation of domination.
Mm-hmm. I'm right. But that being said, it is now time to jump into the news. The first news that I think it's fast, easy kind of shout out is just, neither this really into the rich here, but I thought it was worth saying, is that Liam Hemsworth, the lesser of the Hemsworths, will be officially replacing Henry Cavill as the Witcher starting in season 4 of the show. AJ, I assume you have nothing else to add to that, so that's just the initial, that's what's happening.
Other than why are they changing? Right, like
because he's going back to playing Superman, obviously.
Right, but they can't figure out a way to do both projects.
I wouldn't be shocked if Superman becomes like a decent common enough where that he's actually like always in training or always something.
Well, I mean, also like I'm sure Superman shape and Geralt's shape are the same.
Well, that's fair. Maybe they want to avoid the infamous Mission Impossible Justice League thing where they had to CGI out a mustache. I see shit like that.
But he's not bearded in Witcher, is he? It's just the white hair.
Is that a wig, the white hair?
Yeah,
or is
absolutely.
it his hair and they're dyeing it?
Okay. There's no way that's his natural.
My assumption was it's Superman related.
Yeah.
But,
which, I mean, maybe,
I think that's the thing that makes the most sense.
I think the timing of this news is interesting as well because we got this news like what 2 days after we found out that James Gunn is going to be taking over DC.
Mm-hmm. So that is very interesting.
Yeah, so that maybe lends credence to the idea that this is a Superman related thing,
Yeah,
and Gunn has ideas for Superman, but so I'm like,
because like
I mean, think about it, right?
there's
Like,
obvious problems.
yeah, well, but think about like House of Dragon, right? The Game of Thrones spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they changed actors. Granted, it was mid-season, but everyone hated it. They're like, "Why are you doing this, this, and
Mm-hmm.
that, and all that?" But I guess also like some of the pitches that I saw from people online were like, "Why don't we just do the series stuff?" Like the problem is that story hasn't been written. They're going to run into a Game of Thrones problem where if they want to do that, then they have to take the show past what is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wait, is there a book for the Game of Thrones spinoff? I thought that was all just being written.
well, no, like the actual Game of Thrones, like what season was it? Like four
Oh,
or
I get what you're
five,
saying.
where they
Okay.
caught up to the books. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that is, I mean, like, I guess probably Liam Hemsworth is a guy that you can get into that kind of shape and isn't necessarily busy,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So
that's found. It's probably his biggest role in a while, at least.
yeah, I also don't think that he's as desperate for roles, right? It seems like whenever he pops up, it's he does a project and then he disappears. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't pull the Chris of he's in a project, but then he's always got to be in the zeitgeist because he's Thor, this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Final TV stuff, because we kind of talked about the James Gunn kind of mixed in there, is I just wanted to shout out the Mario trailer, since we haven't talked about it formally since it came out. Uh, I'm assuming you've seen it, AJ. I saw it in front of Black Adam. Um, I want to say the thing that I think you were saying. I think it looks better than I thought it would by about a mile. I think Mario looks weird, but I think the film has potential to live in like that Detective Pikachu little flop of not great, but we've had objectively worse films.
oh, I had no worries about the visuals of this film. For me, it was always going to come down to story and voice actors and that part of it. Because, like, the
Mm-hmm.
studio behind this has, you know, they've been known to make amazing stuff, so I wasn't worried about the animation or the style or anything. Yes, like Mario looks a little
Mm-hmm.
weird for whatever reason. I can't quite tell you why, but something just feels off about Mario. Whereas
Yeah,
every
his
other
face, I
character,
think, to me.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
Even Luigi seemed fine. That's what I don't understand.
Every other character was like, yeah, that's what I would assume they look like.
Yeah, like maybe not the way I would have done it, but totally seems fine.
Yeah. So this movie's going to do
Yeah.
gangbusters because it's a kids movie. So, and it's Illumination.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Minions guys. So
Yeah, so like, and Minions, I think there are problems with those films, but they're for kids' films, especially like decent.
yeah,
Like that's kind of my view of it. I'm like, oh, they're fine. Like they're not bad. They're fine.
right.
Uh, Okay, so let's jump then into video game news.
Well,
This broke.
I just want to say before we happen to do that, I do want to say send our condolences to still in the film and TV, um, Big Bad Daddy Diesel, Kevin Nash, whose son Tristan tragically
Yes.
passed away after a seizure. He was 26 years old. It really sucks. Kevin Nash can't seem to catch a break, which is extremely unfortunate. Because from the sounds of it, that guy is the nicest guy in the place. Everyone around him is dying. His best friends are dying, and his kid is dying. Very tough to see. But dude's got a weed line, and apparently he's doing very well. So, good on him for that.
Good on him. The next good on, I think we need a shout out. Good on Comcast, AJ, for finally doing what we would have done a year ago. Are you ready for the good news?
Well, no, because Comcast they didn't do what we would have done, because we would have never gotten into this situation.
They greenlit it?
Yeah.
Yeah. People who don't know, G4 is officially dead. What's wild to me about it is people found out via tweets on a Sunday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was
my question.
No formal thing. It was just like, oh, I was just informed that I don't have a job, and then you saw more and more of those tweets, and it's like, oh, alrighty.
So my real question is, so they have citing not enough like eyeballs and all that, right? Not enough views.
Yeah.
I want to know what their initial estimates were. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I want to know. In the marketing department, did they think this channel was going to get 5 views a day? Like, what were they thinking? I mean, like, their head count was an estimate to be almost 200 people at one point.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Which isn't surprising for, like, since they had a physical location.
Sure. But that seems bloated in the sense of what this was.
Yeah.
I don't think IGN or GameSpot have a 200-person head count.
IGN might. GameSpot is significantly smaller than it was.
But the point is, though, those are the number 1 and number 2 video game sites.
Yeah.
Like, that's what my point is, like, those are the top 2, and maybe the first one might. And that's where we're at.
IGN probably, I would assume IGN definitely does, just because they're so international. Right, so you figure there's probably 2 or 3 minimum staff members on each of their international teams. And they've got 1 for every country in the UK.
The current estimate is IGN is 250. So.
They're probably bigger than that, yeah.
But the point is, though, like, if you think about how big IGN is and how many things it does and all, like...
Now, granted, a lot of IGN has... their production has fallen off in the past couple of years as they've... Yes, their headcount is only 250, but they've been getting rid of a lot of their stalwarts and replacing them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, a lot of the stuff that got their views, their clicks in the first place, like the quality of that is just tanking because, you know, the people that made it what it was aren't there.
So IGN, you could adjust some, I'd say, reasonable scalings when it becomes non-profitable, and we could reprofitize it really, I think, relatively easily. G4 was never there. G4 was never close to there. G4 was an idea that I don't fully understand. Not only, I understand that the broad story of like how it happened, right? Of the son, the Comcast CEO's son was really into G4, all that. But like, how many people had to sign off on this at multiple points, and none of them went, this doesn't work.
I think here's how I think that stuff went down. Like, if I had to guess, the conversations went something like this. It was, hey, we have this brand, we're not doing anything with it. Okay, what would it cost to spin it up? $5 million. Okay. How much would it cost to run a month? 200 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well that's nothing. And we can compete with the IGNs and the GameSpots of the world. The problem is, really, I mean, G4 should have been something that was done on Twitch.
With like 5 people.
Yeah.
Or 10 people.
Yeah, Twitch or YouTube. Like, that's all it should have been. So, it just felt like it was poorly explained to them what was going on. And then those in charge didn't think about the internet, is what it feels like. Because, I mean, really, if I want video game news, there's 60 sites out there that I can get exactly what I want. Or just go on Twitter. If I want to see somebody talk about something, there's 10,000 channels that'll give me that. So, what was going to make G4 different? It's going to be a lot of that stuff that made them special 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But you're seeing people do stuff like that every single day on Twitch streams. By themselves, or maybe they have 1 or 2 other people. So, G4 was never going to be profitable and never be able to separate themselves from, these bigger Twitch channels. So, obviously, I feel bad for the people that lost their jobs. That being said, there's no way I could have taken a job at G4 and thought, oh, this is a great long-term investment.
Yeah, I'm really hoping people who took those jobs took it as like a good, like, I have a job for 6 months or a year, and here's some extra money.
Yeah, I mean, from the sounds of it, a lot of them were obviously forced to move out to LA, and that's not a town that you can easily land on your feet in many situations. So,
but also, they're at least. I'm hoping at least for a lot of the behind the scene people that like this is a good piece for them, because obviously there's a lot of those type of jobs in LA, even if not in games.
Oh yeah, like the actual people putting on the TV station part of G4 are going to be fine. It's going to be the people that were writers, or the people that were on-screen talent, or this or that. It's going to be harder for them to find something, which just sucks, because, in this day and age where you can do pretty much anything remote to a certain extent, right? Like, you could have had a writer for G4 be based in, like, I don't know, Buffalo, New York, and they would have been doing fine on their salary. But, you make them move to LA, and they're barely making it by. Feel bad for them. I feel extremely happy for those that got out of it before it fell. There were definitely some that were like, oh yeah, I left because I saw the writing on the wall. Good on you. So.
Yeah. That's all G4 stuff. Next news story I want to shout out was PlayStation formally announced January 26th is the launch date for their Pro controller. I ordered one. AJ, I don't know if you have a general thought on if you'd pick this up, if you think it's worth it, any of that fun stuff.
I mean, I'd need to get a PS5 first. That's the first step on
Fair. I guess that's fair.
making a DualSense worth it. But I still don't know why people were surprised at the price.
It's a little higher than I thought. Like I was expecting more 150-ish than two,
Well,
but it did not seem crazy to me.
People clearly don't remember when the first Elite came out. Like,
Was that too?
when the first Elite came out, it was like $160, and a traditional Xbox One controller was like 45 to 50. And then the DualSense go for 70. So of course it's going to be close to $200. You know, like, and then the Elite 2 was 180. So people that were thinking, "Oh, it's going to be less than that." Like, no, of course not. Like, you know, the DualSense is already the most expensive controller out there in terms of base. And now you're going to add all this stuff onto it. Like, you know, I honestly was thinking 200 is probably where it's at. I think they could go as high as 215, maybe 220. But any higher than that, you're starting to get into the territory of a controller costing as much as consoles. And that's where you kind of price yourself out.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. I'll be curious kind of see what it all plays like and to see kind of the utility. But yeah, no, I was excited also because having another controller for my PlayStation lying around is a good idea. So, but we'll see kind of how it works. Next news story I wanted to shout out because we like to make fun of Kotaku once in a while on this program. And so I'm just going to read this, AJ, to you. Then I want your head to hurt like-minded. So Kotaku is writing a story about how when Overwatch 2 came out, it's a free-to-play game, if you don't know. You need a phone or a phone number to play it as like a count, like they had an MFA requirement. And apparently the exact quote that Kotaku used is, "It's like being punished for being poor."
Okay.
What?
Well, I will say this. I understand where the quote's coming from, right? The quote is coming from the fact that Activision Blizzard's new authentication system doesn't allow the phone numbers to be a prepaid plan, a landline, or a VoIP line. So, yes, like if you're on a prepaid line, which, you know,
Some people are, so yeah, that's
yes,
fair.
like some people are, like they've kind of come back into vogue as
Yeah, you've seen them more recently come more into vogue, yeah.
yeah. Like people are trying to cut down on stuff, and that's a great way to do that. So I think it's definitely odd from Activision Blizzard's standpoint of, well, it has to be a post-paid line. Stupid, right? But their comment of they hope it'll cut down on cheating and disruptive players or disruptive behavior. Like, I get it, right? Like, they don't want people just buying burners for $10, hopping on Overwatch 2.
And not even a burner. I could give you a VoIP and like for a $1.
Yeah. And, well, you don't even need that. I think Google Voice numbers are still free. So,
that's fair because you just need it for text, and I think they give you like so much free.
yeah. And So it gives you this this barrier, if you will, of okay, well, you need to be on basically a contract, so we know that you're legit, right? I don't see how this is going to help at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Obviously, Activision Blizzard is known for not making the smartest choices in the world when it comes to stuff for consumers. But this one's just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's so much weirder than anything they've ever done before. And, it's going to be on every uh, Activision Blizzard game, so it's part of Call of Duty as well. Um, so, yeah,
No.
Kotaku's article is definitely odd. That being said, it does an okay job of trying to explain what they're talking about. Right? It's not it's not the weirdest thing that they've put out there.
Sure. I'll critique of that. But yeah, it was also Kotaku. Next thing for us to make fun of.
Oh, this will be fun. Internet, shut the bed.
You good?
Are you good?
Yeah, now I am.
Because you go, the next thing to be excited about, nothing.
And it just stops.
Yeah.
The next thing for us to roast is I have a few stories in a row here that we need to kind of digest. As the rest of the world can imagine, the metaverse is not being this massively, immediately successful thing, right? Shocking, I know. There are a few stories kind of floating this last month I want to kind of broadly talk about while we kind of put it in line with the metaverse as a whole. But basically, metaverse companies are overvalued right now because no one is using them and there's no practical purpose that people have defined. One of the biggest companies out there is a story about Kotaku, by the way. Of the biggest metaverse companies from a valuation point of view out there is Decentraland. It is a company that was valued at $1.2 billion, which in tech world isn't like endless money, but still a lot of money, right? For a company that's a private valued company. That's still unicorn status. It had a whopping 8,000 users, and at the time they put only had 38 active users on the service for that day. On top of that, for people who didn't know, recently Facebook Meta did their earnings, and they burned through so much cash on Horizon Worlds that the company is now no longer in the top valued companies in the world. Meta is now valued at less than Home Depot. And even stuff like when we saw all of the eventual Horizon Worlds updates in the Facebook and Meta videos the last couple of months, stuff like how they showed legs was obviously faked, as we know now, and they're still showing a lack, I think, of utility kind of there. AJ, I'm kind of curious, kind of looking at what we've seen, what's happening in Meta and some of these big companies and the NFT markets the last couple of months. What is kind of your thoughts kind of on Metaverse, and is anything going to come out of this, or besides a lot of burnt capital?
Nope, this is the crypto market, NFT market getting overdone, which I think a lot of people saw coming from a mile away when all this stuff was first announced. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I think Meta will ride this to the grave. Right? Like, they went through the whole thing about changing their company to Meta, and they're going to be the Metaverse company. And I, I think they've just, you know, basically they're making their bed and now they're laying in it, right? Like, it's not a far stretch to say like, okay, these guys are banking their entire company on this, and if it fails, you know, kind of so be it, I guess. Like, you know, Facebook needed something, right? Like, Facebook was gonna die if they didn't do something.
Yeah, but that death would have been way slower. The death would have been like over the next 10, 15 years. Or Facebook could literally burn through all of its capital in like a year if they wanted to at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because, like, you know, they made a huge thing about how, you know, oh, we've got legs now. Like, that was a big thing that was put out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, shit's fake. Surprise, surprise. But
yeah, like obvious. Looking at it, it was obvious, but the way they were showing, like I have bad news for you. Legs are probably going to be the hardest thing for them to solve, just from a technology point of view.
well, think about it this way, right? Like, in VR, there's no way that it tracks your legs unless you go out there and say, okay, I'm getting additional Vive trackers, index trackers, or whatever they're called now, and strapping them to my feet. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that you can do that, is you need to be wearing something that the headsets can identify.
Right.
And
unless you track some sort of weird, like your head jumped a bunch, but then it gets weird.
right. But if you want fluid motion, you need a way to be tracking so many different points along your leg, right, that it would just get to the point where, you know, where you'd have to be wearing a suit, right? Like, here's my metaverse suit that I wear, and, you know, it's got all these different sensors and accelerometers and things like that in it, and it feeds all that info into the headset, and so it can track your stuff that way. But who cares, right? Like, VR is still a very high end thing, and nothing's going to change there, right? Like, VR will always be a high end consumer product, no matter how cheap you.
And I think, I think with the true money in VR, well, I think we both enjoy the consumer side of it, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff there. I stick with my stance I've had for the last probably year or 2 years now, that I think the bulk of VR innovation and money will be B2B technology, right? So you could see it in healthcare. I work in kind of construction-y space, like those kind of things, I think is where you see it the most, which is why I think the metaverse doesn't make sense, because that the metaverse thing is, I think the way people describe best is the entertainment side of it. And where I think the money is like giving something to, like, the doctor training stuff, I think is really cool. The military training stuff's really cool. Like, I think that's really where your VR money and innovation should be, and that's where the profitability side of it really is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not gonna, you know, VR companies aren't making money on games, right? Like, where the money's being made is, oh, hey, this healthcare network or this school or this whatever, right? Like, or this branch of the
Or
military or this country.
right. So like we don't know. I worked for a bit in DoD space specifically on like training, right, in virtual reality, and a lot of that is because hey, it's a good way that's cheaper than bringing a plane or a ship into port. You could still get them some level of training, not quite hands-on quality, but a lot better. So when you do bring it into port, they're more ready, right? It's that first tier of training. It helps in a ton.
Yeah, and you know, I think we're probably 10 years away from a doctor doing a full transplant surgery through some form of VR. Like,
Like that could be really cool. Imagine you had like the best doctor world, and now him having to fly around, he could kind of work in some sort of more centrally location.
yeah.
Like that could do a lot. Like as we talk about telemedicine, I think that you're probably correct in a way. That is a weird evolution of telemedicine that could happen.
So, and especially considering, like,
Yeah.
you know, those high end surgeons are, we're losing them, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's getting harder and harder to find them because medical schools are making people more um, well rounded. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to then spend an additional like 2 years going, okay, well, I want to do this. And it's just tough, right? It's tough on everyone. It's tough on every system. It's tough on, the system as a whole. It's tough on hospitals because that stuff's expensive. So, yeah, if there's a way where, okay, well, we just need, the surgery center that's a bunch of robots, and our surgeon is in Germany. Cool. Well, he can see everything because all the arms have cameras, and the resolution is good enough in the sense of protecting their hands and things like that. So that's where we're going to see the VR stuff go. Entertainment is going to be such a small part of it.
And I think the stability. I think me and you both enjoy it. But I wouldn't bet a company the size of Facebook on it. I'd be like, I'm willing to say that like those small indie VR companies that exist out there doing the like 20, 30 man teams could totally be profitable, right? Those could be profitable. I don't think a 5,000 man team on this would inherently be profitable.
No.
That's kind of our continual 2 cents on VR as we always watch the space because obviously my job a lot of ways depends on it or adjacent depends on it, right? With all the technology. And me and AJ both really like the stuff. But next story. Speaking of stuff that won't die, unlike G4. So we talked about last time how Disco Elysium, a lot of their founders left Zome, the collective, by Forest Unknown kind of fully what was happening, right? I remember that being kind of a little more grayish at the time. Since then, the lead designer who left, Robert Kurtis, who I believe is one of the original people who created the original Zome and like this idea of Elysium, has officially filed a lawsuit against what's left of that company. I think he wants rights back to his work, basically, but it's one of those fun lawsuits that I think it's worth keeping an eye on. Because while me and AJ both actively dislike them, I think it's an interesting lawsuit from a legal and those kind of problems to keep an eye on where it goes and what happens with it. Do you have anything else to add to that, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most hilarious lawsuit I think I've ever seen, where someone that has a fascination's not even the right word. Like, what's a better what's a better word for their feelings towards communism? And like,
Uh, an admiration, probably.
no,
A wanting of the world to become. Is that a better?
I don't know if they were necessarily that. I think just they were like radically communist,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think they saw the irony in we're radically communist, we're going to sell a game and we want to make money. Like, it was extreme. I was like,
Argument. I could at least argue, knowing some weird Marxist theories that is there might be something to be said about how. And again, I want to clarify. I'm not on their side ever on this. I'm just kind of playing the like what could be happening there. Is there could be some level of they want to spread these ideas, and the best way to do it in the system is to still kind of accept some confines. But I do agree with you of the irony, at least, of how that kind of has to happen.
yeah, and you know, in order to get their project made, it sounds like they just signed whatever deal they could. Right?
Yeah, they took some capital, I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't sound like they had a lawyer telling them, "Oh, don't take this deal because it gives the I don't know if it was a VC firm or what, but like it gave that firm basically complete control." And now they're trying to get that back, and it's like, go for it. Like, I don't think you can get it back, but because it would be like basically breach of contract situation, but maybe, right? Like,
Mhm.
so
Yeah. Yeah. The next story, as we get to the tail end of these stories, I need to shout out, which is, I don't know if I think is less offensive than the other stuff. The original Witcher is officially being remade on Unreal Engine 5 by, I believe it was No Code is doing the remake of it. Um, I think this is less offensive, TBH, than the other remakes we've been seeing because it is a game that at this point I think is a bit rough looking at. I think it's a bit an older game. And I could be wrong, I don't believe the original Witcher was ever on PlayStation platforms. So obviously there's a little work that's been done anyway. But I don't know, AJ, if you have any
well,
other
and
opinions
like, how many
looking at that.
people have actually played the original Witcher, right? Like,
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's a lot here where I'm like, this is I think a whole remake might be a bit extreme, don't get me wrong. But that being said, I think it's not the worst thing we've seen so far.
I mean, the whole remake thing makes sense because CD Projekt came out and said, like, look, we're going to be adopting Unreal, you know.
Right. And for the record, is only on Windows and OS, the original one. So I think at least that makes sense too, of kind of making it work on consoles.
Honestly, I don't think it ever came on consoles. So,
Also, you know what's more wild to me? I didn't realize do you know who the publisher? This what? Without looking? Who is the publisher on the original Witcher?
well, do you have the original publisher or who it is now?
No, the original. Like I'm talking about the 2007.
Yeah,
Witcher.
no, I'm saying, like, is it the original publisher that put the game out, or has it been, like...
No, it is the publisher that put the game out.
Okay. Is that 2K?
It was Atari.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Atari. Yeah, because that's when Atari, that's when Atari was like, hey, we're going to be a publishing, or whoever bought Atari, right? Like, whoever owned
Yeah,
it.
whoever was the fifth owner of Atari at the time
Yeah.
was like, we're going to be a publishing arm.
Yeah, that was the death throes of Atari.
So, yeah, no, that's happening. Obviously, a lot more to happen about that. The final true news story, I want to say, it has been a sad day for people who grew up. I'm assuming you grew up like I did around this era of the Taewon Flash games, but it is sad to announce that Mini Clip is officially dead.
Which, let's be real, how long were they going to survive after the death of Flash? Like,
Oh, totally. But it was just one of those that I don't know if I feel as they were still around also.
I think I remember hearing the initial, like, oh, Miniclip is going to close and having that same reaction of, wait, you haven't already?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
But I just wanted to...
well, they're not fully shutting down. They're still keeping, like, Eight
The
Ball
website,
Pool and Agario.
And a few others. And there is the app. But I was like, the mini clip that like Arjun thinks of when he grew up, that mini clip is officially...
I mean, that Miniclip has been done for a while.
Yeah, but I'm actually curious, kind of, because the thing I've been is a lot of the people kind of who are big in that space have been kind of releasing these indie games, right? So the Rogue Legacy people are a good example of that. The Call to Lamb people are kind of like people who still exist now came from that space. I am very curious, though, how many games in that space that just kind of die of a whimper, but like we'll look back in 20 years, be like, do you remember this game? Like I'm just kind of very intrigued, kind of what that's all going to look like, kind of down the road.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think with the death of Flash, right, like, that killed off a lot of these sites. But also, I mean, how many studios open, release a game on mobile, it sells like 5 copies and then close that we never hear?
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas, like, if you could have made it on the front page of Miniclip, you were making some money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's just through clicks and advertising. Like, those games brought in a ton of money because I don't know about you, but anytime I was in a computer class, probably 2/3 of the computers were playing 8-Ball Pool or Line Rider or...
It was Miniclip, it was Addicting Games, and there's like one or two others that like we realized that you could kind of get through school firewall. Miniclip, this is going to sound like a wild one to you. I started playing Club Penguin when it was still on Miniclip before it was bought by Disney on its own server.
Yeah, that's the only time I'd ever played Club Penguin was when I was still in.
Which is why, because people think of like now, kind of that Club Penguin became Club Penguin World, all that, right? But like Club Penguin started before Disney bought it and put in the investment. It started as a Miniclip Flash project, or Flash video that they put on a Miniclip, which is just, it's one of those like really weird like, how, because like Club Penguins are things that no one talks about now, but all of us grew up in some capacity with. And it's one of those that like Miniclip was, I think, an important kind of moment kind of in those mid-2000s for these games. Of some obviously became bigger than others, but like, or developers kind of getting their start. So I just think it's a cool piece. It's something kind of worth remembering, but that's all we have to say about it. Final story of the month is, I just want to shout out, there's the Final Fantasy 16 story trailer out. AJ, I know, does not care when I'm pretending he cares, but people who are interested in Final Fantasy 16 like I am, trailer's out, it looks pretty cool. You get to learn a little more about kind of the world, and that is still out sometime next year. Games. So this is, now I've extended this list to 2022 and beyond for some games. God of War Ragnarok comes out on November 9th. Warzone 2 comes out November 16th. The Pokemons come out on the 18th of November. Evil West, not to be confused with Weird West, comes out November 22nd.
Or Wild
Callisto
West.
Protocol. Yeah, not confused with any of this. Callisto Protocol comes out on December 2nd. Dead Island 2, in quotes, comes out February 3rd. AJ, we'll see if that holds.
That ain't happening.
Company of Heroes 3 ain't happening. I agree. Company of Heroes 3 comes out February 23rd. RE4 Remake comes out March 24th. And Starfield and Redfall are both marked for the front half of 2023. And then just so everyone's note, me and AJ talked about this ahead of time. The movie club movie for next month will be Wakanda Forever, which is the sequel to 2017 or 18's Black Panther. So,
Yeah.
AJ, do you have anything else you want to share or talk about before we wish everyone good luck? Goodbye.
No, I want to end this episode as fast as we can because I need to really clean my mouse. Holy cow. Goodbye, everyone.
The SWW Show and all of its affiliate podcasts are podcast by me, Mike Maroney, and AJ Losi, sometimes by our contributors, including Corey King. You can follow the SWW Show on social media at the SWW Show, or sooner or later you go to patreon.com/SWW to help us out. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.